Second. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Isra. We look forward to hearing your report.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well and staying healthy and safe. As Sister Shazad mentioned, my name is Isra Brifkani and I'm the Research Associate with ISLA. So today, inshallah, we have some really important research that we want to share with you that we conducted at ISLA on the topic of the impact of COVID-19 on enrollment in Islamic schools. But before I talk about the research, I would like to quickly browse over ISLA's mission statement and highlight its dedication to carrying out critical and foundational research on Islamic education and full-time schools. And this is what we're doing today, inshallah, in hopes to bring you the latest research that we have on Islamic schools. So without a doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a negative impact on schools across the world and across the country. And when it comes to our Islamic schools in the United States and in North America, ISLA has received questions and inquiries from principals, from board members asking, is it just my school that is being impacted? And what is the impact of my school in comparison to other Islamic schools in the United States? So the purpose is to, inshallah, use this report and this research to inform our Islamic school community, to, inshallah, answer some frequently asked questions. And we hope that our Islamic school administrators and board members can use this report as a point of conversation to think of creative solutions to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, inshallah. And ISLA is in a very unique and very good position to be doing this kind of research. It has been working closely with Islamic schools since 1998, mashallah. And ISLA has the most comprehensive and up-to-date database that's out there on Islamic schools. So this gives us the tools to be able to do this research with our schools, alhamdulillah. So in terms of the research, so we designed a questionnaire and it had 14 questions, both open-ended and closed-ended questions. And we didn't want to oversample from any school, so we asked that only the principal or head of school to complete the survey, because essentially we didn't want one school to have 5 responses from board members and from teachers and admins, and then one school to have 1 response. So just to make it as accurate as we could make it, we asked for 1 response per school. And then we emailed the school, we emailed the survey directly to the schools, as well as we shared it on 2 communication platforms for Islamic schools. And this happened towards the mid-October to the beginning of November. So mashallah, we had 81 schools that participated in our research study, and we really want to thank all the principals and the schools that participated. Without your participation, none of this would be possible. So alhamdulillah, and 81 schools means that a little bit more than 25% of our Islamic school population in North America, which gives us a really good response rate, alhamdulillah. So after we were done with the survey collection, we took the data and we did a qualitative and quantitative analysis. We did not want to rely only on the survey tool to do the analysis for us, because it's essentially we wanted to look at the nuances in the data. And alhamdulillah, we used that, and we have come up with the first ISLA research report, and inshallah we hope that it's going to be the first of many that we will provide for you, inshallah. So this is what the report looks like. It has, as you can see, it has 5 pages. It is a PDF document, and at the end of this presentation, inshallah, Sister Shaza will go over how you can access this report, inshallah. And essentially, we, as I said before, we hope that this report can be used as a point of conversation, because we, inshallah, the hope is that all of our Islamic schools will ride out this pandemic will ride out this hard time coming out stronger than before, inshallah. So the first, so inshallah, I'm going to be going over the, not the entire report, but I'll go over the most important aspects, and then you can take your time to go over the whole report, inshallah, and read it. So in terms of school location, essentially we wanted to the survey participation to be from across the United States. And alhamdulillah, we have that. We had participation from all regions of the United States. We had some participation from schools in Canada. And right here, where you see other, that means either the schools chose not to disclose their location or the schools were outside of the US. But the percentage was small, so it didn't impact the data. So one of the things that we wanted to look at was how the schools started out instruction-wise and how they proceeded as the school year progressed. So as you can see right here, with this first pie graph, most or the majority, the larger percentage of our schools started out the year virtually, 49.4%. And as this school year progressed, we had the larger percent, the percent doing hybrid, about 15% increase. So that tells us that our schools are really trying to adapt to this new reality and open their doors when possible. This was the biggest question, or the most important question that we wanted answered in our survey, was the impact of COVID-19 on enrollment. And unfortunately, as you can see, 79% of our Islamic schools have seen a decrease or a decline in enrollment. And this number is concerning because a report came out that talked about the impact of COVID-19 on enrollment on all private schools across the United States, and the percentage was 56%. So we can see that our schools are being hit harder than the average private school in the US. And alhamdulillah, some schools have seen 11% an increase in enrollment. And as I was looking at the qualitative data that correlates with the schools that had the increase, some of the aspects that they talked about was having to do with increasing financial aid, and some of the schools were also voucher schools. So, and we had around 10% that did not have an impact, alhamdulillah. So we also wanted to look at the percent decrease in enrollment, and and you can see that the most common trend is a 20 to 30% decrease in enrollment, followed by 5 to 10%, and the most concerning right here is a 40 to 50%, because this directly impacts the school budget. So inshallah, we can figure out ways to mitigate this enrollment decline. As for the grades that were most impacted, pre-kindergarten was the most impacted grade, followed by elementary grades. And this is in line with what other private schools are also experiencing, because essentially it is very difficult and to have a good virtual experience with the pre-kindergarten. It's very hard to keep those little kids engaged for long periods of time in front of a computer. So this makes sense, and it's in line with other private schools as well. And then another thing we wanted to look at to see if there's a correlation between the school establishment year and the decrease or increase in enrollment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the graph a little bit, then we'll go into the numbers. So right here on the left side, you have the establishment years. For example, you have 1970 to 1980. Right here you have 2011 to 2020, and so on. And you have three colors. So essentially, each of these bars serves as a pie graph. The orange means those schools didn't have any impact, blue means they had an increase, and red means a decrease. So as you can see, the schools that were newly established, it seems that they had the least impact. on enrollment compared to the percentage of the schools that were established in those years. We don't know why or what the reason is, but it's something interesting to keep in mind and look at. We wanted to look at and study some of the reasons for the declining enrollment, and not surprisingly, the first one is the financial standing of families. This was the most selected options, followed by local schools offering virtual schooling options. Essentially, I guess a competition for Islamic schools. And then the last two options that were some of the most selected options were the parents unsatisfied with learning options, and then the local schools offering on-site options. This could mean that if the Islamic school was virtual only and then the local schools were offering hybrid, then that could be one of the reasons why there was an enrollment decline there. Okay. Next, we wanted to see if there was an increase in applications for financial aid or an influx in financial aid requests. And yes, 67% of the schools said that they have an increase in requests for financial aid from families. And then how these requests were met by the schools. 60% of our schools said that they increased their allocation for financial aid. Alhamdulillah. It doesn't mean that they met all the financial aid requests, but they were trying. You can see that through the percentage. We asked doing to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, and aside from the funding that they received from the government, so here are some of the things that they're doing to help with the enrollment declines. And the first one correlates with the most common factor that's affecting the enrollment decline, was to increase financial aid and offer payment plans. Schools talked about the importance of working with families on a case-by-case basis and offering flexible payment plans for families. They also talked about the importance of clear and consistent communication with parents and having them engaged and surveying them to understand their needs and on not just one time but consistently. Also, schools talked about the importance of marketing and social media presence, and this makes sense since now we cannot hold our fundraisers in person and our events. That means we have to up our game with marketing and social media. And another thing they talked about was the hybrid model that helped some of the schools meet both the needs of the parents who want virtual only and the parents who want to send their kids to school. And then lastly, quality programming, the importance of creating a good program to essentially maintain that enrollment. So when we look at the whole data, we look at everything holistically, I kind of try to make some sense of it. We can see the importance of having sustainable financial models for our schools. What happens is, for many of our schools, it's almost like when a family is dependent on paychecks from paycheck to paycheck. So if we are dependent on tuition only from month to month, then you're hit harder because you do not have that reserve, you do not have that emergency fund. So schools can begin to think about, what are some ways we can be creative in bringing in funding and resources. And also, we hope that this responsibility of mitigating the impact of COVID-19 is not shouldered only on the administration, because it's a huge responsibility. It needs to be a collaboration between the board and administration working together to make sense of it all and try to mitigate it. And I think most importantly, Islamic schools need to differentiate themselves from public and private schools. If then something is off, we have to change something um, in that formula, because it should be that we are much better than the public schools. And then lastly, I feel like many times Islamic schools are doing great things and a lot of good things are happening, but we're not communicating the value, and we're not communicating what's happening to the community, to our parent population. So whether that means making better reports for our donors or having better marketing, we have to kind of think of ways to better communicate to our community and our parents the value that we bring to our community. And let's see. And that was it for a summary of the report. And Sister Shaza, if you want to open it up for questions.